record starting now. So this video and the slides. Okay, and it's being recorded. Sorry for the delay here. I don't like wasting you guys' time. So we'll go ahead. So this, like I said, we'll get the main lecture portion of these slides to you on Blackboard. And I just want to talk to you again about what this is going to be a workshop between statement of need, statement of protest. So what is you considering whether to do one or the other? Okay, you guys probably already seen this while I was talking. Really, it's the extent upon which individuals define their own citizenship and ability to exercise their own rights. All right, it's good to kind of, I would recommend you guys take somewhat of notes, so that way you kind of understand. So probably going, well, this is way out of whack here. So no, it really is just how, as we go along within the aspect of the history of agriculture and labor, and we're going to get to the point of what a particular type of labor, and like sugar beets, and then through the 20th century until now, 21st century, impact of hemp. All right. So what extent does an individual define his own their own citizenship and ability to exercise their own rights? Here's very specific: voice within local or county government. Okay, does that individual have an agency within effectively making recommendations to public policy when needed? And a lot of that can be done within, and has been done, as you'll see in the Chicano movement, or even a little bit before that, the ability to come together as they see fit, and without the stigma of labels being placed on that, organizing at the local and grassroots level. That's why I kind of want everybody, this is going to be focused to where Southeast Colorado is going to be that interaction within labor, but also other groups in agriculture, Japanese Americans and Mexican Americans. And then as you see towards we get to the Chicano movement, just this very name described as social movement, that word Chicano, and the way the Mexican Americans identify themselves in regards to this citizenship. So that's why this Chicano came about, is to define for themselves and really against you know, the establishment, something that was termed as far as the purpose of them publishing La Cucaracha, their citizenship. Okay, but also gauged spatially and temporally. Really, this is something that's like history. Time and space. So time is like what they did for Salt Creek. They responded to it in the present, to this environmental racism that was in the past. In a matter of fact, you had the Oral History Project was how Louis Luggs Garcia, at the time in 1970 or so, you should be able to see that within what I've already shared, like Jose Ortega did in Prezi, but also Professor Montoya. Louis Luggs Garcia, who was already active in the Chicano movement in Pueblo, decided to go against the Pueblo. They're wanting to sell, buy their houses at the low market value, and they were ignoring the fact that the community of Salt Creek was getting sick from the contaminated water. I hope that kind of explains it. So what was he doing? Louis Luggs Garcia, the Chicano movement, gauging that temporally and spatially area of protection of your human rights. That's what Louis Luggs Garcia was doing. In regards, at the same time, to do that, he had to bring forth and really let the Mexican Americans have a sort of agency and self-identity. So it's more strong case for that. I keep looking at you guys over here because I got your video over here. So when I look at over here, I'm actually looking at you guys. So bad habit. So this is the second slide. Does anybody got any questions so far? Concerns, opinions? Okay. So with that in mind, so what could be a statement of mind? Or statement of mind. Yeah, really, honestly, yeah. Statement of need. Oral history shows a need for improvement within human rights community organizations. So you'll see that, you should already see that with the oral histories that are put online with Salt Creek Oral History Project or Memory Project, okay? And you see that it kind of pops up what Jose Ortega, who lived in an area along with his Teal, also in the Salt Creek area, was trying to do in regards to the Oral History Project. That community organization, and that with that done just a few years ago, steps toward that improvement identified toward a focused goal. All right, that there's progress being seen within those steps, and it's still on track. So you see specific, come together, or a community organization to come up with certain goals with advice from, the university and the community, primarily those who live within Salt Creek. And they set up these goals and went ahead, like Louis Lux Garcia started taking steps. And of course, they were very unique and out of the ordinary, beyond what normally you would see, just working within society. And you know what I'm talking about, like just working and going home and sleeping and eating family. You step out of your comfort zone at times. But at the same time, the advantage was that sense of family, the cultural part. So does everybody understand that part? So you'll see a community organization, you start to figure out what steps to take, and that was oral history interviews of those who were there. And a lot of that interview and talking was the cultural part and family, a sense of kinship, but still talking about, oh, wow, we got this social movement going on. Let's get on there and fight this part. Okay, so it's kind of an expansion of the Chicano movement in regards to like discrimination at the schools, discrimination, migrant labor, and the strikes. A lot of influence from Cesar Chavez in California. Okay, so what is statement of protest? Who can describe to me what is going to be the difference if you feel like you need to do a statement of protest? Awkward pause.
Would it be just more like you're having a direct call for action, like you have a solution and you're really just presenting that, focusing on that portion of it?
Call for action. Yes. Do you think that civil rights movement, African Americans, Martin Luther King Jr., to some extent also there was different, yes, call for action. There was different varied levels. What was Martin Luther King Jr. doing? There was more of a call for action within what type of movement? Nonviolent, right? And as even within the last week or so, we start to see how, depending on, as you already know, we see in the last few days, what kind of call for action has there been over the last few days? Has it been nonviolent, or is there some or all? Okay, I think y'all kind of, yeah. So there's could be a lot, could be or a few, nonviolent protest, or just outright rage. I don't want to say I want to tap into that, for this class, because I got to make sure you all still graduate, you still get through the 3 credit hours, and within the student code of conduct, and me too. I mean, as far as staff or faculty code of conduct, I don't do not go off the rails. So, well, in nonviolent. I'm not making light of this. I'm just trying to say, don't yeah, don't. I mean, as far as what Hugh may have done with this already, that's something that maybe you all can bring to the table, however you see fit. But as far as anybody else, that's maybe this is an opportunity to at least put pen to paper and say, no, this is my statement. This is my calm, collected, but focused, or just sheer now kind of call for action. Statement of protest. No improvement has been made within human rights. Community organization through Oral History Project was on the surface successful. As far as recording interviews and kept for posterity, they're online, they're at the archives, they're at a museum, storage facility, repository. But the further steps to affect public policy within the public realm in long term or midterm has not been accomplished or has been actively opposed, either unspoken or spoken, or within newspapers or podcasts, however you want to say it, radio, social media. Okay, what that mean, or it's just you need something now in short term. Okay, when you actually see violations of human rights since the Oral History Project, the Oral History Project, ongoing, just violations of human rights as what was identified at the beginning of the project. So what am I saying? You went to the point to where let's organize, let's come up with what needs to be fixed, let's take this, identify what steps to take to fix it, okay? And then allow the Oral History Project within the mid-long term to have some others come back in the future, like other students, all right, that are coming in after you graduate and you've been gone already. You're already moved on in your career. You're moving on to other different subject matters or your field. They come in and they got an issue with somewhere else, or the student, or scholars such as myself, or other activists per se, want to look at this and bring out historical events, and the Oral History Project that shows their story. Okay, not so much what has been written about in textbooks per se, or in newspapers or anything, but actually firsthand accounts. So the statement of protest is that everything is, not only has there been no steps, further steps have been delayed, but also I see active violations of human rights, or just outright complacency, all right, or complicitness, that kind of thing in near real time. That the democratic but sound leadership. So what do I mean by that? That there is, with the Oral History Project, some sense of bringing together from other opinions, as diverse and as inclusive as possible, but still there's always got to be some sort of leadership. That leadership has been designated from that democratic process, okay? But they decided the steps within public history to improve local policy, community organization is untenable because of what I stated just above here. And so more immediate needs are necessary to hold accountable violations of human rights. Any questions or comments so far? Anything that, anybody upset? Anybody concerned about the class going off rails just with what I'm saying? So So what it is, this is your beginning of with the next discussion response to your midterm decision between either a statement of need or statement of protest. Now let's be very specific. I got you guys focused on an area at a specific time, from the time of really where 1967, really honest, to be honest with you, and then to the present, because I want you guys to bring this in along with the demographics, and then look at here a bit later the HIMP analysis, how it's going to has affected us now in regards to agriculture and labor there. So what's social? Okay, so we're looking at, well, have you guys look at a specific area and a specific time, specific labor force, really, honestly. That's what I got you guys looking at. We're looking at the overall history, agriculture, and labor with some cultural, social aspects of Arkansas Valley, but I'm probably filtering you to Southeast Colorado, all right, and the migrant or seasonal workers. So there is a specific legal term defining a difference between migrant and seasonal workers. Honestly, I have not much, or I don't want you guys too concerned on seasonal workers. The difference is defined like the Department of Labor or the Colorado Labor Department is migrant workers are those who are to migrate to come to a certain agricultural area to work the field or work particular agricultural crop, but they cannot go home overnight. They stay in that area, so they have to stay somewhere, either on the farmer's land, particular type of building, shelter, okay? Or seasonal workers are those who do come to the field to work, other than the very local area, but they come from the region and to work the field that day or that season, but they can go home and stay overnight, and the very next day they can go back out to the field or a different field. So you see the difference, okay? So it's really the focus right now is just the migrant workers, all right, as far as what I got for your the rest of the class. Okay, social needs. What are social needs? What are we talking about? You look at the next bullet. Social support or services are needed. What does that mean? Are we? Okay. All right. Okay. I don't know what the maximum amount of time is for the awkward silence. Is it 10 or 15 seconds or 20 seconds or 2 minutes? Let's try 2 minutes. All right. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. It's a little bit. All right, let's get back on track. Okay, all right. I have to respect the online time. All right, I understand that. Social welfare. Let's talk about healthcare, universal healthcare. How about that? Or healthcare mandated for migrant workers. A system, legal, the local, state, county, from the very first level of government or first level of support, benevolent support. Here we go into probably religious or charitable organizations, all the way up to the national level. That's a good example. Education, daycare, medicine. Can anybody else give an example? You've already looked at the demographics and within particular data. What else?
Housing.
Thank you so much. What else?
Wouldn't I forget what program it was, but for migrant workers to be able to get like driver's license?
Yes, thank you. No, excellent example. Okay, so what is one area that they continue to, that is actually put upon migrant workers as far as a very strong stigma and has impacted their ability to move around or not be afraid to move around to do work in agriculture? What is, till this very day, what is it exactly? Status of what? Immigration right, something that I have, even, I'm on pins and needles as your teacher right now. It's like, okay, I can't, I'm afraid to get to that. I got to skirt around. And I'll be honest with you, that is a very controversial topic. That's something that, um, it is, what the best I can say is, again, is at what level is the support. They all need, no matter what, actually, is support. Even though it's because you come and you come from a distance and you're not a seasonal worker, or even if you are out in the field and you don't even know if you're going to get paid. You don't know if you're going to get paid enough. You don't know if your housing is going to be up to standard to 2000 or 2020. You don't know if your child does have a hearing problem, or your teenage daughter has a hearing problem. You don't know whether or not maybe I can get a hearing aid or not. I haven't, I went up to Montana to work for a couple of weeks. Came up from Texas with my family. Went up to Montana first. Me and my boyfriend have hearing problems. Was able to graduate high school down in Harlingen, but I wanted to, the job situation down there is really bad, but I want to stay with my family and my boyfriend, go up to Montana and go ahead and work there a couple of weeks. But, in fact, there's so much stigma. I'm not even going to tell nobody that I have a hearing problem, because there's just so much pressure. They're going to first check on whether or not I'm lawfully here in this country, or instead, it's what it should be is, okay, we know you're coming, and here's what is available. Not only is this available, you can relax, you can chill out, because you know that you have uh, equal rights, and you are going to be treated the same as everybody else in this country. And we'll go ahead and get you to the clinic or to the hearing doctor or a hearing clinic, whatever you call it, do a hearing test and fit you for a hearing aid. Okay. Um, that scenario is not a scenario. That is, I'll give you guys what it is, what I'm talking about. I'm talking about an actual person. In fact, what's her name? Oh gosh. Okay, Melissa Resendez. Melissa Resendez. She's 23 years old, along with her boyfriend. I can't remember her name of her boyfriend. All right, and I'll let it be right there. Um, what social support or services are needed? What social support needs and services were explicitly identified during the Chicano movement in the late 60s? What I mean by that is how we got this framed before within your statement is, how did you organize? Did you organize other than, okay, actual social political movement to change against racism, discrimination, change legal or public policy at every single governmental level, from the grassroots all the way to the national level? And I think with the Chicano movement, it was very focused towards the national level. All right. In a lot of respects, state of Colorado, for example. What social needs and services was there in 2006? So there's a hint for you. I will get this on Zotero. Probably by the time you see all that, you'll want to, like I said at the beginning of the class, just call for action. And forgive me for being kind of vague. There's a purpose for that. So that way you guys are looking at what comes before that historically, okay? But, okay, like compare 2006 within that type of support compared to initial requirements in the late 60s, all right? based on influence of the Chicano. So there were changes. And well, some changes before that, as far even at the time of early in the 20th century, there was a fight to increase wages or even mostly just get paid because they weren't getting paid. They say, yeah, go out there and get work. Go and ask the farmer to, or the sugar beet contractor or the sugar beet representative employee. Okay, we worked this much. Can we get paid? And either they didn't get paid or they got paid less than what they were told, or they didn't really know because they just knew Spanish and they weren't told in Spanish. Okay, any remarks, questions? Okay, pregnant mothers need support too. In regards to prenatal care, yeah, giving birth, postnatal, there's a good example. Again, continuing on with this research question overall, compare historical social need and services now and how introduction of industrial hemp in Arkansas Valley since the legalization of cannabis in who knows the year 2012, 13, 14. I got here in 2012, so I know immediately after that all
Yeah.
over huh.
I'm trying to remember. I can't remember the exact day, or the
It
year.
was something like that, and then it was over the last few years, it's just been decriminalization of just cannabis as far as industrial hemp in the Arkansas Valley. So focus on the conditions and the need state of for social needs and services now and then, or at that time and now the industrial hemp. So we'll look at hemp here at later half of the semester. Okay, but so here's a couple of things you can look at, compare. You don't need to do both, all right? You don't have to specifically need to do that. If you want to compare Rocky Ford with Southeast Colorado, all right, and take into account what Japanese Americans were there and are there now as far as Japanese immigration starting in 1890 at Arkansas Valley. Then you can do that. So really compare Arkansas Valley to the rest of Colorado as far as industrial hemp, or compare the valley within respective counties and specific demographics and hemp impact. So here, you gotta understand what I'm talking about as far as specific demographic, like I mentioned. Well, we can start with identity. Okay, by the time of now, I could tell you that a lot of Mexican American women identify as Chicana. In fact, the very fight to be identified within that aspect of the Chicana movement. I won't, because even when the Chicana movement started, almost kind of take for granted to some respects was how it was just the man who led the way until, well, I mean, explicitly. And then the women wanted to get on part of that. No, you need to understand, we're the ones also leading, okay? That you'll see that within like the, you'll see that in CSU Pueblo's college newsletter. I think at the time was Southern Colorado State College, University of Southern Colorado. I think the newsletter was Arrow, all right? So like, you know, prenatal care, women, how did that identity change from either, well, the use of the term just Mexican? No, you can't do that. That very term is, you'll go in there and the newspaper article will say, no, they use that term to kind of to marginalize, to say, you know, you are not quite a citizen. That's basically it. Until now, even through the Chicano movement, how are we going to identify ourselves other than, you know, to fight the racism and discrimination? So really, all right. So this is just something that I want to bring to the table. I'll get this on Blackboard to breathe life into what we just discussed. Okay. Of course, George Otterby is got his oral history interviews up there online at mountscholar.org, CSU Pueblo. All right. And then you can see where he is or what he does or what he has done. But you'll see how he used his family's information that was written before of his ancestors, Charles Otterby's. I think I briefly may have read it, but he's the one that settled in Nuevo Mexicanos within that particular land grant where La Junta, I believe, or I can't remember, at that very tail end. Trying to, yeah, which land grant was it? The one that described Los Animas grant. He recently went back because his story or published of Charles Otterby's was published by someone a while back, and then he went back and edited it, and it was his way of reconnecting to his heritage. All right, and whether he did, now that was very recent actually, but as far as him being involved in the Chicano movement, coming about the bringing up Chicano studies at CSU Pueblo in 1971, okay, how was that used as heritage, as reconnection, or at least some information that he may have had to define his self-identity, okay? Did it come about in regards to what I've said in protesting, for example, or he was working within the economic system as far as building his own career in education, all right? So it would be best to go ahead and get to the Voices of Protest oral history. George Otterby's oral history interviews are there, okay? You may have to go, now you're supposed to pop up, it'll just play in its embedded little screen like YouTube, but I think you're gonna have to download the video for some reason. Something's wrong with mountscholar.org, I'm not sure. You may have to download it. I know it's supposed to be like YouTube, but streaming.
Yeah.
Go ahead, somebody. Okay. All right. So look at this for the next discussion response. Don't put this in your toolbox. Get out your my feedback on your first discussion response, so that way that you can bring this in. At least you got some heads up on this. Of course, with this connection, did it provide motivation for his activism and professional career? So really, we kind of sort of mentioned the Otterby's. I sort of kind of mentioned the Otterby's in regards to the initial cattle industry. Well, his Santa Fe Trails, the fur trapper, and a little bit of agriculture. So you also need to Google his name along with Charles Otterby. So two things. I mentioned key words. So those are your key words. Charles Otterby's, George Otterby. You'll see how he was at the sort of public presentation. He talked about himself along with his family there. And then, of course, his oral history interview, which talks about how he became active at the start, quite frankly, when he got back from Vietnam in 1969. And it kind of ties in neatly with, rather, I hope, organically with what we've been looking at historically, agriculture and labor at Arkansas Valley. Okay, I really would like to hear any comments or feedback on this. All right, now I'm gonna, moment of pause. Nothing? Are you okay? So you guys, you're okay with this?
So can we like put like the effects that certain crops had upon workers, such like the sugar beets,
Yes.
and compare them to like the, production of like watermelon, cantaloupe, or Rocky Ford?
Who is this, Trevor or
Adon.
Adon?
Yeah.
Yes, yes. That is absolutely right on. Because that way, one of the things I would like to see, I've been trying, but it's just what I've been bringing together, uh, is a comparative within the other part of like the eastern part of Arkansas Valley, and then with justifying um, the oral history project in that way, because it's not just local. Because you look at too much local, then it's just going to be regional or state or local significance, which like what they've done with Bogster, when Senator Gardner did ask the National Park Service back in 2012 to look at turning into some sort of national historic site, like Sand Creek. You got the park rangers there. But they didn't see any national significance because of, as they didn't look at what I gave you guys the other day, last week, about the cultural aspect. It might be justifying that national significance. National significance and the oral history project justification is taking a different part of the similar geographic and you know what I'm talking area and similar agriculture, and comparing that to, for example, Southeast Colorado. Um, yes, that is exactly what you're spot on. Yeah.
All right.
Now I think, you may have to go look for it harder than or more beyond the scope of what I've already provided to you. I'll be honest with you, you're not going to see that stuff I will be putting onto Zotero.
Yeah. So like I'm gonna talk about like the historical background of like the Watermelon Day of the Arkansas Valley Fair, the cantaloupe history, and like Charles Becher like finding the sugar beet in Germany and bringing it back to the United States, and sugar factories popping up in areas of Colorado, and
Is this
explaining
something that what's going to happen, or is something like that already at like the museum in Rocky Ford?
right.
Okay, so you're gonna have to justify how you want that information to be, the information, that public narrative, the story, isn't getting out to a bit. You have to justify it needing to be put out in a bigger realm, public realm, or the public. It's not getting out to enough people in Colorado or in the nation. Okay, so that's what you got to bring. Okay, the grenade. You still got to say, hey, at least we got something at the Rocky Ford Museum. But because of due of that community organization, you want to say, hey, this is what will emphasize grassroots local organization, to emphasize community organization there, but also over the region, Arkansas Valley, Highway 50, Santa Fe Trail. But you think that
There's a reference inside of the history of the Watermelon Day of the Arkansas Valley Fair of where Rocky Ford is located, like north, kind of like a little like right off of I think it was the Oregon Trail or one of the trails.
So you're going to have to, I think you're kind of already doing this. I think it's just kind of a natural human kind of how are you reconciling? We're all kind of reconciling what's been going on the last couple of weeks with what we've already looked at in the class so far, what you guys have looked at yourselves personally in the past, what you want to do in your career. it really is where you want to reconcile. How do you put something out there for the public, for everybody, but also, but local without, there's a lot of fight. Only certain things they don't want to humiliate themselves with showing that you're not going to see a museum, a local small rural town saying, hey, we've been around. Okay, forgive me, Iden. I'm sorry, I'm not calling it. For example, now I'm not talking like other places, next to a big, like Pueblo or Denver or any other city or small town outside. We're not going to, put on there that we were a bunch of discriminatory people. You see how far the South goes right now with like their lost cause, putting still up, Confederate Robert E. Lee statue in Richmond, Virginia, still up. And just now getting it down, or that interaction itself, okay, they want to put a positive light on everything that goes on in history. But you see where we're trying to shift that need for call for action, right? So how do you balance that? I hope that what I've given you here, really within the structure of the class, gives you an opportunity or clarification, maybe have a chance to do that. Everybody. Okay, so again, just I really think that you'll see now, Victoria, you hear me? One of the things I haven't brought to the table, as far as within our research question, because I felt that it was even for the Chicano studies, or being sort of self-conscious and double entendre kind of thing, and bringing the mirror out on toward Chicano study. One of the things I didn't do, and one of the things I didn't bring to the table as far as hypothesis, is the impact of the within Arkansas Valley of Chicano movement, within migrant labor that far to the southeast, or within the Chicano movement and Chicano studies. That is a really far stretch. I think it's beyond, I think a good understanding of the Chicano movement, which I do have that, but I think you guys kind of got where you at with understanding at least the Chicano movement in Colorado. Okay. You will find out that there's other than Pueblo, where it started, Chicano movement. I do not wish to de-emphasize the important national significance of Chicano movement in Pueblo overall as Colorado the nation. I don't think I even can do that with, Cesar Chavez from California. So yeah, anything else? What do I need to do to bring that, at least you guys have an understanding of events of the Chicano movement? Okay. I can, do you need anything, looking at Colorado Historic newspapers, La Cucaracha, I mentioned the college, it's all over there. That, in fact, from what I understand, putting all the Colorado's historic newspapers digitized online, Colorado Historic newspapers, was in some part from Juan Espinoza, Freddie Freak, who's heard of Freddie Freak, who unfortunately just recently passed.
The name is familiar.
La Cucaracha, I think there was 6 or so involved in La Cucaracha newsletter there in Pueblo, from 76 to 83. They'll give you a very good understanding, also oral history online. I can tell you that, okay, what time we got? Okay, it's 11:30. I promise not to use up all your class time here, but who's already looked at this? Magdaleno Vilas. Okay. Who doesn't have it? I best turn off the share, stop share. Stop share. Okay, who doesn't have this? Who has it? Everybody has it.
Mhm.
Okay. Who can I see a Anna? You good?
Yeah, I have it. I just don't
Okay.
have it next to me.
All right? So when do I have you guys looking at this? Yeah, a little bit week 9. Well, I recommend you go ahead and it'll give you if you already looked. Have you looked in the back, Victoria, of this? Victoria, you gone? Oh,
In the back of the book?
Yeah.
No, I've only started reading a couple of
I
the
go
front
to the
pages.
back of the book. You'll see his little his bio starting on page 140. La vida, then to now. Everybody can do that too. So you'll start to get a glimpse. Grenada, Colorado. I wanted to ask: is everybody got? Can somebody show me one of their? Somebody show the Mache book. I'm wanting to ask.
Oh, it's downstairs. I have it, but it's downstairs.
Oh my goodness! Well, what is it?
It's a
Okay.
package.
All right, so here's the story of that. I think I kind of already, okay, it was going to be Central Colorado, other than Amache. But we will be getting to, once we get to 1960s, we'll start to see where Magdaleno Rosavilla went, okay, at the time. So look at his bio, up until the very present, up until last Saturday. So I do have a couple of news items for you. I think I do my best to not make any promises I can't keep. I think I said that right. So I did, and I can send you the email. There is an opportunity to, well, I guess I made it part of the class. So what are you going to write within the midterm and the final will be submitted. Okay, will be submitted. I don't know if I need y'all's permission or not. So you will be writing for the National Park Service, okay? Statement of need or statement of protest, or I'm trying to give you another avenue of approach for the statement of protest. So I think if you want to do somewhere in between, hybrid type thing, but the National Park Service, the project leader for the special resource study, looking at what's called the Amache Special Resource Study, National Park Service, to look at Grenada, Colorado, and the Japanese American Relocation Center to see if it's feasible and sustainable and has national significance for to turn into a national park. And she has given me online seminar type thing that they're going to have here next month or so. And she said, no, you guys get to go register. So it's I'll give you the link and you can guys go in there and register. Yeah, I'm still trying to fit. Okay, so yeah, I guess I got to check with the history department whether or not I can make this mandatory as far as a statement of need. I don't know. Or for a grade. I think that's my issue. Man, I got to think this through. I thought how much it is, but as far as whether or not I still need your permission to get something online. I'll get back to you on that. Who has an issue with that? I mean, other than with a statement of protest. So I can give you a couple ideas of statement of protest, but who has a person who thinks their rights are being violated? I don't know. I gotta check. I mean, I guess I will leave it at whether or not it's gradable. How about that? I will look, yeah, okay, so I will still need your permission, just to you, whether or not you want to actually put it out there. But I want your mindset to be as if you're ready to do that. Keep it with you as whether or not you want to actually do that towards the end of the semester. But I want your mind, your writing to be at that par. One of the reasons why I wanted you to do that is to focus on who your audience was. So you're going to have a real audience other than your peers and other than me and other than CSU Pueblo, National Park Service. Who's excited about that or just,
I'm excited.
okay. Derek, I've never heard much from you about that in regards, before, hold, statement of protest. So here's the deal. In fact, I wrote it down. You guys don't mind if, okay. There's a lot of stuff I do think through. So it can, okay, so I've already mentioned CSU Pueblo's college newsletter. Did you guys know that there is a college newsletter? Have you ever looked at it or read it?
Yes.
Okay. Have you looked at it lately? Where is it? Oh, I'm not blaming nobody. Yes. No. A legitimate pause. No. I'm wondering too. The question is this, is because I've looked at the old newsletter. It's on Colorado, the website. Okay. So look at, see, arrow, punch in your keyword, George Otterby. Punch in George. I can probably include that. It's one of the things I can put on already. I have for Zotero, but definitely go in there. If you punch in Chicano, Chicana, and Pueblo, you'll see it. All right. In fact, if you punch in Judy Baca, the current coordinator, Chicano Studies, you will start to see quite a bit of surprising stuff, and arrow. So there is one avenue of approach that you can use for a statement of protest. I mean, all out, where are you, who's responsible for it? I want this to be put on. Now, it is online, I think. It is online. And it shouldn't be any surprise to any of you, okay, that back in the day, and it was being published, I see, when did CSU, when did College of Southern Colorado State College, SCSE, 65, I think, or so. What do you think they were really, you think it was like a regular conservative newsletter at the time? Who thinks that? No, with what you've already seen in U.S. history,
No.
college newsletters at the time,
No.
Vietnam War. Oh no. Where do you think a lot of this information, data, dissemination of information came from with the Chicano movement? Where is the origins of that? Where was the origins La Cucaracha and George Otterby? Anybody else there in Pueblo? No. Look at that and then look at where it is right now. You'll go in there, it's online, and it's like, look like hasn't been updated since. Now, the outbreak is probably a valid reason why nobody has done anything to it. But at the same time, no. If there's an immediate need, like I've just been describing to you for the last 4 weeks, So you let me know. I think it's the student body group, Associated Student Government. There is no reason for why it should not have been updated or anything. I think if you set something up, I guess maybe with your midterm or as a class, I will send it up, and I will, if that's something, I'll back you guys up and say, no, this needs to go on there. There's no reason for it not, it's online. So it doesn't make any sense. This is something that you see historically in dissent. You can be that voice of dissent. That's one of the things that bothers me. You actually do, everybody, have a platform, CSU Pueblo student newsletter. It's just really no excuse. for the way it has right now. Even during this outbreak, I think even more so.
Mhm.
It was, hey, we got to go isolate ourselves, can't go on to campus. But that's one example. I think I'm going on a tangent right now. Take a look if that's where you already at. I think Morgan, I think you almost, sorry. No, when you raised I asked everybody who is already wanting to do a statement of protest, and I think you raised your hand last week or the other day. I could see everybody at the same time. All right, so your faces are like right here, and at any facial any facial movement. Now you freaked out. I mean, I don't have to go around like this in the classroom. I will. I think I'll go ahead and nominate. I have other idea there too. Even Juan Espinoza, as far as any guidance, technical guidance, as whether or not he wants to give you some feedback as to if you want to do a statement of protest. I haven't really been specific as to the design of this class. I only talk to him maybe once every other month or so, but he's the one that kind of gave me an idea of the way to structure this and give you guys a voice, real opportunity. In no way was I anticipating anything past just our reaction to our leadership, just specific to the virus. In no way, shape, or form, I couldn't have. Am I connecting dots that should not be connected? I don't think so. No, there's no way I could have guessed for a second. But this has been done before. This has happened before, where UC Berkeley. Well, probably yeah. You'll see it with the newsletter and the old Arrow University newsletters. You'll take a look at them and see what was put in there. Judy Baca at the time, she was trying to she linked up with 3 other professors. I think it was she was just social worker, but taught within Chicano studies. I think at the time it was in the history department, Sandoval, Daniel Sandoval or something like that, which I think he's still alive. He was actually very outspoken. I think he got suspended one time, but his support saved him because of his outspokenness to say Chicano studies and within the Chicano movement. So actually, because I'll finish with this. All right, when and where did the Chicano movement start? Now, this is something I've been trying to avoid because that's too linear. But when and where did the Chicano movement start? Or is it still going on? Or has it ended? Let's not go there. Let's just say, how has it evolved or progressed? Keep these other questions in mind too. All right. So I hope that I will give you the website, or you can I'll send you also the email. And I'll try to get those connected if those voice of protest. And you're going to want to make sure your pronouns are capitalized and all that. So I've already seen that. All right. Any questions? I will send out the slides. You got to look at that. Because by next Tuesday, I'm going to assume that we've gotten through to sugar beets. Those slides would have been covered today. That's going on Blackboard. You need to look at it. So it's from cattle and sheep to sugar beets. Okay, no questions? All right. I will let you guys go, and I'll get this the first comments on your response, first one here out, and I will stand by while you guys are. I'll let you go. I'll see you Tuesday.
Okay.